This week we experience heavy snow again, making for wonderful walking. I have an accident which could have been very dangerous. We try out a Cosori air fryer and I spend lots more time in the workshop on my latest project. But first, when 2024 started, we had no idea what lay ahead. Through a twist of fate and travelling for over 2 years, we would end up appearing on Escape to the Country, finding our dream home in the Highlands and moving in just in time to host family for Christmas. Oh, by the way, we are Kath, Sue and Fudge. So why not come along and see what 2025 has in store? Well, good morning. Well, I hope you can see this, but we have a lot of snow here at the moment. We've had about 2 inches overnight, I would say, and it's still going. I know a lot of people don't like this, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed now that we'll be able to do some skiing very soon. Let's hope it's like this up at the top of all the mountains around here, the roads stay open and Sue and I can get off and practice some of our skiing. I don't know if you can see up there the direction that I'm walking in. It's looking very, very, very dark and grey. So I think maybe there is more snow rolling in quicker than I thought. I don't mind. I just love this. And you know what? I am so tempted to just get my skis out, just even if it's in the road in front of our house. I'm like just desperate to get on them again. Sue and I haven't been on our skis since 2020, and we went the last week of January. So the last, I think probably one of the last ski trips that actually went, and managed to get away before COVID started to hit everything. So we are so desperate. That would be like 5 years ago. Oh, so desperate to get back on a pair of skis. As I thought, the snow is coming down quite heavily now. And the visibility is not brilliant. It's all right actually. It's not a whiteout. I love this so much. You probably can't see this with the camera, but our normal path has got sheep on it now. So we're going to walk very gently up there, try not to scare them too much. And as you can imagine, little Fudgy is on her lead. Hey? Because I think you'd quite like to run after those sheep, wouldn't you, and have a game? It's still snowing quite heavily. I'm going to walk as far as the river, I think, and then come back. But through this section, Fudge will have to be on her lead. Because I think I've said on many occasions, she's never actually shown any interest in sheep. But if they ran, she wouldn't understand it's not a game. And she'd join in. And that would frighten them. Well, I'm going to have to go onto OS Maps because I've followed what I thought was the normal path and I've been up here 100 times and I am totally lost. I don't think I'm far off the path, but because of the snow I've just been following what look like footsteps, but I think they're more likely to be sheep footsteps. Anyway, I'll check out the map and see how far off route I am. Hopefully get back on. Well, I'm very pleased to say I'm back in familiar territory, although it doesn't look that familiar and there are no footprints, but I can just about make out the track, and also there's a circle of stones just over there which I do recognise, even though it looks so different. We've stopped for a moment. I'm going to try and find somewhere to just have a little seat because I think this is one of my favourite places. It's just so utterly beautiful. The river's not roaring today, it's just babbling. I know where they get that name from now, about a babbling brook. Am I really here? Am I really alive? Could this really be so heartwarming? Contentment, that's probably the best word to describe how I feel. Nature really is a tonic. Well, the snow is back with force again, so we better head back because we've got to find that track that eluded us on the way here, and I'm sure we'll be fine, but we better get going before we lose the light. I think I might need to do some oh, she's put the car away. Oh, no show shoveling. No snow shoveling required. Oh, okay. Let me tell you what's just happened to me. So I went down to the edge of Loch Carton, regular, and headed off up the path that takes me back onto the main track. Unfortunately, the loch has obviously come over its banks, and I was walking on ice covered by snow, and that ice was waist deep for water, so I'm soaking wet. I just thought I'm telling you about this because it seems one of those things that I won't tell you about if I don't do it immediately, but I've got to start walking now, and quickly, just to keep my body temperature up. I've probably got 45 minutes before I get back to the car, and I'm wet up to my waist. So, wish me luck. I'll be fine. It'll be fine.
You back then? You've been gone a while.
Yeah. I've been doing some unintended bog snorkeling.
What do you mean bog snorkeling?
Like up to my waist in bog.
How on earth did you do that?
Well, I didn't know it was bog. I'd never have done it if I'd known that. The banks...
Why didn't you come in and close the door?
Yeah, I need to put the car away.
That might be a problem.
Why?
The wood delivery's been...
Oh, and?
It's in the garage.
The door's not shut proper.
I didn't bother shutting it properly, but I felt sorry for the chap.
Okay.
His van got stuck.
Oh no, what, here?
Yeah.
Oh no.
So, he got a snow shovel out.
Okay.
And I thought, rather than him traipsing round...
Well, I'll get changed, I'll move it and then...
You won't be able to move it.
Why not?
Because it's too heavy. I tried to move it, we'll need both of us.
Okay, well we can move it together once I'm in dry clothes. This will need to be washed.
I can't really tell if you're wet or not. You don't seem dirty.
Well, feel that.
Oh yeah.
Up to here. Absolutely.
You still not explained how you ended up in a bowl.
Well, yes, I'm in the main track. Take pictures, and I used to turn the photos after the main track again. Because of snow, I couldn't see. It was the ice on the snow, I couldn't see. It was actually it was fog. And so I thought, oh God, it's gone on my ankle. But my foot was trying to this foot out.
Oh right.
And then I fell forward. So I was like face down in a bog. And
so is Fudge all right?
Well, Fudge also did a bit of bog snorkeling, but she was fine.
Does she need cleaning?
I don't think so. Because we were like another 45 minutes. I've half jogged and half power walked all the way back to the car.
I can't believe you jogged.
Well, I did, because...
What was that, you shuffle?
No, it was a proper jog. Because I thought, I need to get out of this. Because I thought if I don't move quickly, I'm going to get very, very cold. And I'm getting cold now.
Okay.
I've stopped.
Well, but there's your dry rob's just there, so you can put that on.
Yeah.
I won't film you while you're taking your clothes off.
Okay.
Fudge, how are you after falling in a bog? Oh, you look a lot better than your mummy does. Hey? Hey, you good girl?
Oh, she's a good girl. Good morning. We have a really nice bright day today. Bit of a problem though. The people who lived here before have left their van because it broke. They came back to collect some stuff and their van was broken, so it's been down the side of the house. Not in our way at all. They arranged for recovery yesterday and I'd been clearing the drive for the car, and I've got this bank of snow here. And when they came, or they didn't actually even knock on the door, so we didn't know they'd been, but apparently they came and said it's impossible, we can't get it, loads of snow. I'm not sure I accept that because they've got a big truck and a winch and everything. However, what I need to do today, just in case they come again, is move this bank of snow. Now, I would have done that yesterday if they'd knocked on the door and said, we can't do it. I'd have said, well, hang on a minute, I'll shovel it out of the way. A bit pathetic, really. Anyway, that's what's happened. So, I'm resorting to get the wheelbarrow out because, as you can probably tell, there is an awful lot of snow here and I need to move a lot of it way out of the way. Well, I've not quite finished clearing that mound of snow yet, but I had to take a break and go in because I've been doing it in my wellies, and since I did my kind of bog snorkeling yesterday and got soaking, my boots are still a little bit damp inside, and otherwise my feet would have been kept warm in there. But I am going to get stuck back into that and clear it, but first I've got to top the birds up. They are really, really hungry at the moment. So I need to put some more seed in their food. I bought some more fat balls yesterday and topped those up, and I've also bought a peanut feeder which is on there, and actually that's still full at the moment. But my 2 seeds, I'm pretty much filling them, both of them up every day. Probably can't get any food anywhere else when it's this snowy. Well, the pheasant and some of the hoppers will be happy because there's quite a lot of seed fallen onto the ground. But I suppose they need it when it's like this. Some treasure in the snow. Don't know what that is. Put it to one side. As I moved up the drive, away from the pile I previously created, I found pushing the snow like this much easier. Now let's listen to those grateful birds. Well, whilst I've been moving snow, and I've finished now, the birds have been staying away from the feeders, and I moved away briefly and they went wild. There's loads of them there. So I'm going to disappear now and give them a chance to have their breakfast. Hey! Well, I'm delighted to say we've been sent an air fryer. Now, I think we're a bit late to the party on this one, but ooh, what a party. Now, this is a Cosori air fryer. Over the years, some of you have asked us to show you cooking, particularly when we're in the motorhome, and we've never really been very good at that, but we have made a dedicated video with us cooking on this. So I'm not going to say any more on this video, but if you're really interested in joining this party, and boy, what a party, then I'll link the video up there if I can work out how to do it. I'll definitely put it in the description of this so you can look at the next video, and may even be able to click on it right at the end of the video. But for now, let's get back to normal stuff. Now, I've been doing some more woodworking on my latest project, so why don't you come along if you're interested in woodworking and look at the next bit. And if you're not, and I know not everybody is, then, well, just skip forward a bit. This project started with me moving the wood that had been delivered from the garage into the workshop. Now, Sue had already helped me with the 2 big boards, and the rest of it I could manage by myself. So this was me opening some of the parts that I would need. Some caster wheels for the bottom of what was going to be a workbench, and some folding brackets which would hold some collapsible sides. So here I am checking the plans and measurements, and I've got this courtesy of Tylin of Bitterroot DIY. And because I'm cutting straight pieces of 2x4 on my old saw rather than the new one, I decided to check that the blade was square. So here I'm just cutting a very small sliver off the end of this piece of wood, but watch for the blowout. Oof, that definitely takes me by surprise. What I really needed was a 0 clearance fence. So the next time I just made sure I was cutting off a wider piece so that the offside was secure against the fence that was already in place. And now I'm all sorted, I get into sawing all the pieces for the table tops, the sides and the legs. All the wood is now cut and ready to assemble, and I've labelled it all up so I don't forget what bit's what. So, well, I don't know, it's 1 o'clock here now. The sun is out, it's cold, and Fudge needs another walk. So before I start to put this together, I'm going to take Fudge for a walk. So now I get my previous masterpiece of a workbench out so I can start assembling the various components of my new workbench. So clamps at the ready, check everything is square, and then screw the various bits together. By this point I'd assembled the top, the bottom and the 2 wings of my new workbench, and this is me now just attaching the legs using gravity to help with this process. Now, once the main centre point of the workbench was assembled, it was time to put on the caster wheels. Now, this is where I ran into an unforeseen problem. Go and have a lunch and have a think. Well, this was the problem. The kit that came with the folding brackets to secure them consisted of nuts and bolts, and that wasn't going to work with the design of my table. So after searching the garage, I've managed to find some screws with wide heads, and that was ultimately the way I solved the problem. I used the caster wheels themselves to mark out where the screws would go in, and then pre-drilled some holes because some of them were quite close to the edge and I wanted to avoid splitting the wood. Time to flip it over and get ready to assemble the sides. Well, things started to get a bit more complicated. I wanted to make sure that the sides folded up so that they were at the same level as the plate on my miter saw. So with the first bracket in place, I put the side on in order to check the height was exactly as I wanted. There was a lot of faff in here, and I was really concentrating on getting those wings at the right height. And I totally forgot to measure in from the side so that the brackets actually aligned with the wing. So I forgot to video the bit where I was swearing. So now you'll see me measuring in from the side as well as down from the top. And this added a further problem because one of the screws that were holding the leg in place was directly in line with where I needed to put a screw to put on the bracket. So I had to take these screws out and effectively use one of the screws from the bracket also as one that secured the table leg. The little corner angle drill bit thing came in handy again to be able to get that very top screw in place. And then the moment of truth. Will it all fit? Oh, and if you turn it the right way around, yes it will. Well, with one side fully assembled, I decided to take a break and I came back the next day to put the other side together, using exactly the same method as before. The final part of the main frame is to screw the brackets in from underneath onto the side wings. Right, all I've got to do is cut the boards out now for the tops and the sides and the bottom. Once again, it's proved a bit more tricky than I thought, and I'm missing a couple of screws right at the top of this bracket. I've got the screws and I will screw them in, but I need a longer drill bit to get to them, and I've got one on order. Right, let's get around to the bit that I'm dreading, and that's getting the circular saw out and cutting out the big lumps that go on top. Well, that didn't work, did it? Oh, you fucking idiot. Oh. Cut the wrong end off. Well, oh, will I ever get used to this circular saw? My board's now too short. Well, I've just cut another board. I completely forgot to turn the camera on. Concentration so hard on that bit, which is just right. I'm now going to try it and see if it fits. Yeah. And now that I finally have an element of command over this ferocious saw, I set about cutting the final pieces. As you can see, I have created carnage in the workshop. This has been another job that's been harder than it needed to be, and I've managed to chop off the little end on my Craig fence thing, so I'm going to have to try and see if I can get some spare ones of those. Silly, it's my own fault, should have just pushed it out of the way. But, ta-da! That's my workbench finished. So I will move the axes with the bottom, and I will take that little bit and then screw it there. This is on, that one, yeah. Well, now of course it's time to clean up. I wish I could do it this fast in real time. Well, I think I've crammed enough into this video. So I'll leave you with a few shots of the finished article. I was very pleased with it. It's another not perfect. It didn't need to be perfect, to be honest, and I still have a long way to go in order to master that circular saw and get really nice straight edges. But on that note, I will say thank you so much for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.